Today, we unravel a story where attraction turns sinister and trust falls prey to obsession. What began as a romance soon spiraled into manipulation, control, and a nightmare ending in tragedy. Welcome back to Macabre Mondays, where mystery meets the macabre with your favorite deadly duo. I'm Ale.
And I'm Tom.
Your guides through the strange, the sinister, and the spooky. This is the story of Travis Alexander and the wrath of Jodi Arias. This is a cautionary tale about how unchecked obsession can overshadow love and lead to unthinkable violence. Ooh. Yeah, are you excited?
I am. Are you telling me that this podcast is going to tell me signs I should be wary of about you?
No. Never! No, Jodi Arias is insane, though. All right, let me paint you the picture of who Travis Alexander is. Travis Victor Alexander was born on July 28th, 1977 in Riverside, California. His early life was marked by hardship as he grew up in a tumultuous environment with parents who struggled with addiction. After his parents passed away, Travis found stability with his grandparents, who introduced him to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the LDS. His newfound faith became a guiding force, shaping his values and driving his ambition. Despite his rough upbringing, Travis grew into a charismatic, driven young man known for his positive outlook, resilience, and humor. He had a natural charm and a talent for making others laugh, even dabbling in stand-up comedy here and there. As he advanced in his career with Prepaid Legal Services, Inc., he gained recognition as a motivational speaker, inspiring many with his story of transformation. By his late 20s, he had built a strong network of friends and colleagues who admired his optimism, career success, and deep-seated religious beliefs. To those who knew him, Travis was a bright, uplifting presence, a source of support and inspiration. Now, I'd like to introduce Jodi Arias. July 9th of 1980, Jodi Ann Arias was born in Salinas, California, raised in a typical normal middle-class family. Her early life was marked by strict discipline, which she later described as abusive, though family members deny these claims. Jodi was an artist at heart, drifting between jobs and relationships. She struggled with consistency in both work and love, moving frequently and pursuing different paths, but never quite finding her place. Growing up, she was pretty rebellious. I learned that in the 8th grade, she actually grew marijuana, and her family found out, so they turned her into the police to teach her a lesson.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Like high school, that's one thing.
I know, 8th grade. Well, she's like pre-high, right? It's not like junior high or whatnot. Regardless,
true,
any of the
still,
ages of those, yes.
A little insane.
So, I mean, if you think about it, imagine how she's feeling against her parents now, right? So she claims later that, like I said before, she suffered abuse from her family, but she skipped a lot of class during high school. And when her parents find out, they actually grounded her until she was 18. So she ended up dropping out of school and moved in with an older boyfriend that she had at the time.
So at 18?
Well, she wasn't 18 yet, but she had dropped out before 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, that makes it even worse then.
I know. She
so
dropped
you're not
out
even
of
done
school.
with school.
Yeah, so she drops out of school and she moves in with this like older guy that she's dating or whatnot. And she's with him for like a good couple of years. After Jodi's breakup with her boyfriend, she felt lost and uncertain about her direction in life. Searching for a fresh start, she decided to take a new path by joining a company called Prepaid Legal Services, Inc.
Oh, okay. So the same company.
Yeah. At the age of 26 in 2006, Jodi packed up her belongings, dyed her hair blonde, and relocated to Palm Desert, California, near Palm Springs.
She said new life, new me.
She really did. The move was driven by her desire for a new beginning and more professional opportunities with PPL, Prepaid Services, Legal Services, Inc. Little does she know, this decision would ultimately lead her to meet Travis Alexander later that year. So in September of 2006, Jodi attends a business conference for PPL in Las Vegas, where she and Travis first crossed paths. Both were independent sales representatives for the same company, and according to Jodi, the attraction was immediate. She described feeling mesmerized by Travis, and he too was captivated by her beauty and charm. Friends and colleagues noted that Jodi had this magnetic energy. She was flirtatious, captivating, and intriguing. That evening, Travis actually introduced himself to Jodi, and then quickly they connected. He invited her to a marketing banquet, and their connection grew from there. For Jodi, this was a very significant moment. She was gaining attention and interest from someone that she found attractive, setting the stage for what's going to end up becoming a tumultuous relationship.
I was just going to say, wasn't she also in a relationship still?
No, she broke up. They broke up, and so that's why she ended up moving.
That's why she moved. Okay.
Yeah, she ended up moving because she wanted to start something new and, fresh new start, new hair, new this, all that. So, at the time, Travis was living in Mesa, Arizona, while Jodi was out near Palm Springs, like I said. They started dating soon after meeting at the PPL convention in Vegas, and it didn't take long for Jodi's attraction to Travis to kick into high gear. Within a few months, she converted to Mormonism, and Travis actually baptized her himself.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a powerful moment for Jodi, but for Travis, it wasn't as significant. In fact, they were mainly meeting halfway at a hotel in Ehrenberg, Arizona, to spend time together, which started to signal that the relationship was more about convenience than anything else, if you catch my drift, babe.
So she converts, and the relationship's not even like as serious as like she's taking.
Well, yeah, clearly so obviously she converts, and to her it's something that means a lot more than to Travis. He's like, whatever.
I mean, if you're willing to convert,
right?
Which, to be fair, give her some backup because she dropped out of high school and immediately moved into a relationship. So this is all she probably knows is like quick connection, locked in, and I'm fully committed.
And she's like, I'm getting attention from him. Yep. I'm starting something new. I'm hot. Everyone's like, look, he's looking at me. And I'm sure that's something that she feeds off of, right? So although she was all in, she began really imagining Travis as her future partner, even though he wasn't on the same page. Travis confided in friends, describing her as a fatal attraction, someone who seemed to keep showing up in his life no matter how many boundaries he tried to set. And we got to remember, I mean, their relationship was practically just sexual at this point because they're meeting halfway. She's like, oh my God, I converted and he's probably going to love me and we're going to fall in love and be happy and get married forever. And then
meanwhile, he's got other ideas in his head.
Yes, he's got other ideas in his head. He's thinking with different heads here at this point. Yeah, so yes. And so friends of his also noticed that their relationship became physical almost immediately, despite Travis's religious beliefs against premarital sex. He was caught in this push and pull. Jodi was exciting and passionate, someone who was eager to fulfill all his desires, but it also left him feeling guilty and conflicted. They'd have secret photo shoots and intense encounters, and for Jodi, that was intimacy and commitment. But for Travis, it was more about the thrill and the secrecy. Yes, the pleasure. Eventually, he actually started dating other women and didn't introduce Jodi to his family as his girlfriend, which really just kind of stung to Jodi.
He treated her as like a side chick.
Pretty much. Yes, pretty much. And so despite their connection, Travis never really defined the relationship. Jodi was convinced that he was her boyfriend, but Travis felt uneasy about making it official, and that's why he struggled with his beliefs and his attraction to her, feeling torn between, the desire or his faith. And, like I was saying, the relationship is based solely on sex. She was pretty much like his dirty little secret, if you think about it.
Which also is just automatically going to start leading to a lot of conflict.
I know. And then, he's a part of the LDS, and it's also like she converted for him and so forth and that. But like his family knew of her, his friends knew her, they'd met her, but But
they obviously don't know what's all going on, especially if he's part of LDS. They knew of her, but not like in the sense of what they did.
No, friends had noticed that the relationship became physical almost immediately. So they knew that he was being seduced, but also he was being a part of that. But that's why he was struggling with his faith and all that, because he's like, oh, I really like her. I really like how this feels, but I shouldn't be doing this because it's against our beliefs. So as the relationship developed, friends began noticing some red flags. After Jodi moved from California to Mesa, Arizona, to be closer to Travis, things started taking a strange turn. She'd often show up at his house unannounced, even letting herself in through the doggy door on occasion.
I'm sorry. Pause. Pause. 1, what size doggy door? 2,
they didn't specify, but I guess
why was there no restraint order?
Well, you gotta think about it. They're still kind of seeing each other. Even though he broke it off, they're still kind of seeing each other. She's over here like, what? You're my boyfriend. And he's like, I don't even know who you are.
This is strictly platonic.
So Travis's friends found her behavior very intrusive and unsettling, obviously. But Travis just couldn't seem to cut ties entirely. Though they weren't officially together, their connection was pretty intense, and Jodi's attachment didn't let up even after they broke things off. She'd actually continued visiting him in Arizona, often showing up unexpectedly, like I said, and ignoring his attempts to create distance. Friends later said that Travis felt like he was under her spell, almost as if like he couldn't escape her influence.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
her spell?
Yeah, her spell. I think I think they just had a really strong chemistry, and I'm sure when you're that infatuated with someone, yes, everything else is just out of the window, and you get lost in the heat of the moment too often here, though. I think the lines were blurred with them, that's for sure. Yeah.
It really sounds like he was like, I know the right decision, but then that means I have to say no more of that.
I know, and he's like, but I don't want to say no more of that. That feels nice.
I feel like he definitely had like the God and devil on both shoulders, and they were like, come on,
dude. The LDS,
God was like, no, dude, stop. You know she bad news.
I know. And plus, like, I mean, she's getting to this point where it's like...
She came in through your doggy door. Yo.
And it's not a sexual term. No. Like, she legitimately came through your doggy door. So, Jodi's obsession only seemed to grow from there. She wanted to know Travis's every move, constantly calling him, sometimes hundreds of times. She would even follow him on dates with other women. It was said that Travis shared with his friends that he was starting to feel genuinely afraid of her. By the summer of 2007, Travis had finally decided he needed to end things for good. He's like, finally.
I was going to say, took you long enough,
I know.
buddy.
And unfortunately, I wish he had stopped here. But he realized their relationship had become toxic, and it was just physical at that point. His friends and family encouraged him to break it off, and he did. But Jodi didn't take it very well. And instead of moving on, she decided to move to his hometown of Mesa, Arizona, to stay close to him. She even offered to clean his house, which he accepted.
Brother. I'm sorry. Every guy listening right now,
she goes through your doggy door, cut her off.
Every guy listening has at least dealt with one woman that has had this type of like
her partner, anybody. Yeah.
I don't have this, but that person's into. Everyone in general probably has dealt with this. Mm-hmm. Hey, the feelings aren't mutual, but you just kept letting it go on.
I know. I know.
You're like it's like, just close the door. Dude, just close the door. Like, you're leaving it cracked open, and now she's like, he's not even leaving it cracked open. He's just leaving his doggy door open for her.
And she is using sex and her looks and her charm, for her power to gain. And if you think about it, that's all she's ever known, kind of like what she's been doing. Yeah. And
it also doesn't sound like she realizes, though, that like, no matter how hard she tries, it's not going to be reciprocated.
She probably thinks I need to try harder, or something. But then it comes off obviously obsessive and weird and creepy and odd. But the fact that she offered to clean his house, letting her like linger in his life like that. I also was reading that she would even wear like maid outfits. I'm like, obviously she's trying to seduce him to get him back. Like, oh, you can't miss out on this.
It definitely goes back.
Yeah,
it seems like it's definitely like the only intimacy. And
that's all their relationship is built on.
Partnership that she knows.
Right.
Because we don't know a lot about her first relationship that she had, and who knows, if she was dating an older guy, it was probably just that.
Yeah. No, but
she probably thought that was love.
Since she dropped out, right? Yeah. And then that's what she's pretty much all known. Yeah. No, it's so true. So Travis started seeing another woman, Lisa. Jodi went into a full-blown jealousy mode. Now think about it. Don't forget, they're not even together, right? Like, they broke up, but she's still cleaning his house. She sent Lisa a cruel, shaming email. There was plenty of emails, actually, that she sent her. But in this email, she would be calling her names, telling her that she needed to repent, saying, like, you know, she was a whore and all these things. Like, she was just going crazy. And to make things worse, one night while Travis was home with Lisa, Jodi showed up and slashed his tires.
Oh my God.
Yes. I know.
Restraining order.
No, he's probably like, so what time you coming to clean my house tomorrow? Can you wear that pretty little number?
You know, I left some underwear in the corner. Could you just make sure that's picked up?
No, it's so bad. Okay, so in an August journal entry, Jodi wrote about wanting to shut her feelings off for Travis like a light switch. But by March 2008, she had moved back to California with her grandparents, trying to break free of that situationship that she's in with Travis. Yet, when she learned Travis was now dating someone new, a woman named Mimi from his church, and she found out that it was someone he actually saw as wife material, it triggered her jealousy all over again.
Oh,
she was like, I need to come back. I need to clean this house. Right?
I gotta be close. I gotta monitor.
Yeah. So that's like something, you know, she left. I wish she had just stopped there. You know, I wish it was just like, listen, he's just not the one. Just move on.
Take the hint.
Yeah, just move on, right? And it's just like, it was such a push and pull game.
I mean, it sounds like their whole relationship was just messy.
It was messy. It's toxic. It's abusive. Yeah. It's all the above. Yeah.
It's one way, one-sided.
It's rough. So despite everything, Travis would still engage in long-distance phone calls with Jodi, which sometimes turned sexual. Honestly, most of the time they were on the phone. It was
I was just going to say,
call.
There's no, based off of this guy's track record with Jodi, no.
No, and they're like just feeding off each other. So this kept her emotionally tied to him, and she resented feeling like he was only using her. So eventually, Jodi decided to start recording recording the conversations, actually, possibly intending to use it as a blackmail against him. So imagine that. Now, in May 10th of 2008, there's a now infamous phone conversation between the two that was recorded.
Between Jodi and Travis?
Yes, between Jodi and Travis. In it, Jodi and Travis discuss intimate fantasies and desires, exposing a darker, more complex side to their relationship. Now, as for those fantasies, in the phone call, he states, and I quote, "The way you moan, Jodi, sounds like you're this 12-year-old girl having her first orgasm. It's so hot." And then she's like, "What'd she say?" And then he just repeats it again. And then she like giggles. She later mails Travis pamphlets of pedophilia, which really pissed him off and made the relationship even more toxic. So she was like so mad at him. You know, let me actually pull it up. So
I know we're not recording video.
I know. I wish they could see your. I wish they could see your face right now.
I'm pretty sure I just had to pick up my jaw from like the first floor. Oh my God. Okay, well now this has just opened up a whole can of worms.
And they play this audio at trial.
At
later.
Trial?
Yes. Just you wait.
So like the way you know that it sounds like it was 12-year-old girl having her first orgasm. It
sounds like what?
12-year-old girl having her first orgasm.
Yo.
Yeah.
No.
I know. There was just something. I mean, again, dark fantasies, kinkies, who knows? But nothing was really concrete on that. Only thing that came up was that.
Yeah, but that still gives me.
I know.
Because if she fished for that, she
didn't fish for it. She moaned, and he was like, "Oh, you sound like a 12-year-old."
I just wonder if she knew that he was going to say that.
I know. I mean, who knows? Really, you got a good point on that. I didn't think about it, but that's very true. So after that message, that audio recording, like I was saying, she mailed Travis pamphlets of pedophilia, and so that really pissed him off, and that kind of just set the tone.
He was like, "How dare you use my dark fantasy?"
Yeah, she was like, "Why are you serious? What the hell?" So this time, Travis was actively trying to distance himself from Jodi, hating her in the process. He really was trying to set solid boundaries. And he told his friends that he was uncomfortable with her increasingly erratic behavior and wanted to end things for good. He was over it. He even described her to one friend as a dangerous woman, which ends up foreshadowing the events that are soon to come.
Oh, no.
So, just a week before Travis's murder, there was a reported burglary at Jodi Arias' grandparents' home in Eureka, California on May 28th of 2008. During the break-in, only a few items were taken, including a .25 caliber handgun. Coincidence?
I think not.
Or calculated move? I don't know. So by June 2nd of 2008, Jodi was making more suspicious preparations. She dyed her hair back to brown and rented a car from Redding, California, a city that was 100 miles away from her home, supposedly for a solo road trip that she has planned. She then bought gas cans, aiming to avoid a trail of gas station receipts. I know, when I read you the rest of this, you're going to be like, girl.
She tried everything.
What?
It literally, I will let you continue. But before we continue, she tried everything in her ability to not come across as the murderer or I'm prepping for a murder.
An obsessed ex-girlfriend. Yes.
That's getting ready to kill my ex.
Yes.
But at the same time, she did everything you read about that they typically do.
Yeah. And she even went as far as to remove the front license plate of the car and actually flip the rear one upside down to avoid trying to get caught. Like, I guess helps postpone.
Oh no, how did that happen to my rental car?
I'll tell you when we get there. She turned off her phone as well because, of course, if you're going to commit a crime, you have to turn off your phone. All for this road trip that she's doing on herself. Is a solo road trip. I guess she wants to go find herself, do whatever she wants to do. Later, prosecutors would end up pointing out to this as evidence for premeditation because, wow, how...
No, you don't say.
But wait. So the next day, on June 3rd of 2008, after a 15-hour drive, Jodi arrived in Mesa, Arizona around 4:30 a.m. She made her way into Travis's home through his garage using the keypad, which she knew by heart. I mean, you got to think about it.
Wait, hold on. She didn't use the doggy door?
No, she didn't use the doggy door this time. She was like, you know what? I'm going to go in the right way this time.
I'm going to just make it easier.
I'm going to make it easier, yeah. Despite everything they'd been through, when he saw her in her home, he didn't turn her away. Instead, they actually spent time together, having sex,
my God,
taking intimate photographs, going the whole nine, right? These photos would later become key pieces of evidence documenting the final hours before Travis's murder.
Man,
you're shaking your
man, woman, anyone. You do not, if you are in a relationship with anyone at all,
or is
by no means do you just casually, especially when they've given you all these signs.
I know, and it's just not going good. Yeah,
this is bad situation 101.
I know
that no matter how you go about this situation, unless you say I'm going to commit the rest of my life to you, person obsessed with me,
that's right, baby,
then you're game over.
That's why I wish, like, first off, if me and you were not together and things were going this way and I just saw you randomly show up at my house, I'd be like, 1, what the fuck are you doing in here? 2, I'm calling the police because that's creepy. And 3, no amount of good D is gonna get me to get you be like, yeah, just stay and let's just have fun. I don't know. I get it. But, like, you know what I mean? It's just red flags for me.
Especially 4 a.m. I break into your house, especially you as a woman. All I'm expecting to hear is
that's true.
Shh, shh.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be like, well, that was a good time while it lasted.
But let's just put ourselves in perspective here because, again,
she's got him in a chokehold.
Yes, and they've both been doing this push and pull thing. So it's not like new, like she shows up, sure. While to us it may be creepy, to him it's like, oh,
maybe it's a kink.
We're used. It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, they have fantasies, all that stuff. So that's why to me I'm like, okay, I wish that didn't happen, or like he turned her away because unfortunately what comes next is not the greatest. And like he was, it's I just why I know it's hard because when I was reading about the case, I remember when I first learned about it and everything, I was like, come on. Like, she is acting.
You had how many chances, bro?
Please. Like, this is just such a sad ending to it, you know? So, June 4th, right, the next day. So she shows up at 4:30 in the morning. Now, on that day, at some point during the day, the situation ended up taking a sinister turn.
What?
Everything seemed normal. Even so, that Travis starts taking a shower to prepare for his day. They've probably done these things before, like hundreds of times by now. And Jodi's actually taking photos of him while he is posing. But within minutes, Travis, caught off guard, was brutally attacked. It's believed that the first initial stab was one of the biggest blows because he's got a physical advantage compared to her, and immediately he was incapacitated to defend himself.
Oh my gosh.
He was stabbed 27 times, his throat slashed, and shot in the head.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and it was said that his throat was slashed so much that it almost fell off. Like, that's how deep the slashing was.
And once again, full disclosure, I'm not sleeping tonight.
Sorry.
But two, I mean, this is a recurring theme on Macabre Mondays.
Yeah.
I also am just looking at the photos and I'm just sitting here, I'm going, I mean, she obviously was thinking about this for a hot minute.
She definitely premeditated.
But how does everything start going good? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, she just flip of a switch. Oh, well, yeah, I remember why I was here.
She had the power, you know? She came in, she seduced him, she got him all sexed up. He's at his defenses. Gosh. Now he's in the shower. And the photos where he's like wet and stuff, that's actually the photos from the camera of the last moments of Travis, right before she ends up attacking him.
Insane.
Yes, and that is the bathroom. That is the crime scene photos. They're all brutal. When you guys go check it out on our Instagram on Macabre Mondays, you'll definitely be able to see. I'm going to put up some photos there. But the sheer violence of the attack shocked investigators and spoke to a level of rage and premeditation that's rarely been seen. Right? Now, here's the thing. One thing that I've learned with all the type of true crime cases that I've done, it says this was definitely like a passion killing, seeing as she stabbed him 27 times, slashed his throat, and then shot him in the head. You know, like, that takes time to do something like that. There had to have been so much rage and passion behind that. You know what I mean? Like, there was more to it than...
Yeah, like, she put...
27 times, that's rough, yes. And so, in an attempt to cover her tracks, Jodi placed the camera... which you see the laundry, washer machine? Okay. So Jodi places the camera with incriminating photos in the washing machine with her bloody clothes and bloody sheets. And she turns it on, like, to wash everything, all that stuff. She thinks it's gonna break the camera. It's going to clean up all of the evidence to an extent, sure, right? But she didn't realize that she actually left a bloody handprint with her DNA and Travis's on the laundry door. The camera's memory card was also later recovered by police, because she didn't take that out. She just threw everything in there, revealing a chilling timeline of their final hours together. And when she left, a police officer actually stopped her about her upside-down license plate and noticed that she had blood-like stains on her hands, but nothing came from the stop. Nothing came from it. You know what she told the police officer? Because the police is like, bruh, why is your license plate upside down?
Oh, that's that time. Oh, I thought you were going to ask about the bloody hands, and I was going to be like, did she just like casually be like, oh, it's that time of the month, you know?
No, yeah. And then he's like,
if I was a cop, I want to ask you questions.
I mean, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
You know what? I'm not going to ask you anything else.
But she told the cop that it was like a prank or something. I don't know. Something unbelievable that to me, obviously to us, it sounds unbelievable. But in that moment, she got away with it.
I mean, she obviously had a way with words.
She did.
She
has a charm to her. Yeah, that's another thing I was thinking. I'm like, she's a pretty girl.
Yeah.
You know, she has this traffic stop.
And she was probably wearing her maid outfit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously she tried doing laundry prior to her leaving.
I know, right? No, absolutely horrible. So she ends up going home. She goes home, returns the car, back to normal, nothing crazy.
Just acts like nothing happened.
Nothing, right? And at this time, she actually has another boyfriend. Like, she has a new love interest.
Oh, Lord.
Which later on, I end up finding out. I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to keep telling you what ends up happening leading up to when they find him and all that. But she actually visits said new love interest the day after she murders Travis and acts all normal.
In the nicest way possible. because I'm assuming Jodi's still alive and I don't want her coming after me. She's psychotic.
She definitely is. No, that's for sure. No, something's up. Something's up there, and the lights ain't on. I'll tell you that.
I don't know many people that are just so casual, besides some other cases that I'm sure we'll cover in the near future, that can just so casually murder so many people and then just go on with their life.
Let alone think about it, then go about your day. I know. That's what I mean. Like,
besides
something is going on.
The family, the dad that lives in the Carolinas or Maryland.
What dad? Are you talking about the Blair Witch?
No, not that one. I'm thinking about he killed his whole family.
There's lots of those. Which one?
Well, the one.
Are you talking about Amityville Horror?
No. Recent case. Yep. Redhead. He killed his son, killed his wife.
Why am I drawing a blank on this?
I can't think.
I need
their
a little
name's
bit more.
He was in business. His son crashed a boat.
Oh, you're talking about the Murdaugh murders.
Yes.
Alec Murdaugh. Yeah, yes. That's a good one. That's South Carolina. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I think he's the only other case. I'm sure you know plenty more,
yes,
but
I know about that one, yeah.
But I'm just like sitting here, and that's the only other case that I can think of that I heard. Somebody just casually murdered and then just casually talking to people. Yeah, but
on that case, which we'll cover at one point, on that case too, there's just so much. I have a bunch of theories with that. But on that case, he was also medicated. Like he's a drug.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, I don't know. But again, yeah, that's another case that we're gonna have to cover.
No, this girl's got something totally different.
No, she's definitely lights ain't on. So days later, after the murder, on June 9th of 2008, after days of silence from Travis, his friends entered his home and discovered the grisly scene. I mean, imagine seeing his mutilated body, blood everywhere. The evidence actually indicated a violent struggle, leading investigators to suspect a personal vendetta, because, I mean, if a burglar is going to come in, they're not going to stab you 27 times, slash your throat until your head almost pops up, and then shoot you on the head one last time. They called the police to report his death. The phone call audio, the dispatcher was like, "Do you have any idea who would wish harm on him?" His friends immediately were like, "Yes, her name is Jodi Arias."
I was just gonna say, please tell me his friends just immediately.
His friends were like, "She lives at 123 they were like, "Yes, her name is Jodi. It's his ex-girlfriend." That's where, and I cracked up because immediately they were like, yes, it's Jodi. It was Jodi.
He's had red flags, but the man's just crazy and goes back after her.
That's back. Yeah, I know. So by this time, Jodi had already returned to California, seemingly unaffected by the events that she caused on June 4th. They actually called her afterwards, like his friends called her afterwards to inform her that he was murdered. And apparently on the phone call, she sounded surprised and in disbelief. She later actually appeared at his funeral, which shocked his family and friends. And she even introduced herself to Mimi, which was his then girlfriend, and those at the funeral. Obviously, she's bringing very much attention to herself by doing that. Imagine there's police there too. Maybe the murderer's gonna show up to his funeral. She sure did.
So if the dispatcher, the friends already told the dispatcher, "Oh yeah, look into Jodi."
Well, I know, and she I'm sure the cops were looking into her, but the fact that, based off of what they were saying, that, and then she ends up showing up at the funeral
just so casually,
like, "Oh, what's going?" As if she wasn't even terrorized. She hasn't terrorized.
To be fair,
them.
though, there are some psychopaths that do that.
Oh yeah, they love to,
and serial killers even too. We've seen it time after time.
Yeah, it's happened plenty of times. So in the early stages, police began to piece together clues from Travis's home. They quickly noticed several key details. I mentioned before, one was the bloody palm print, a digital camera in the washing machine, and blood traces. Now, the camera was damaged, but the police were able to recover what was on it, and they had found time-stamped photographs. Literally trace leading up to the murder.
Which, here's just my thing. If you've ever watched any type of true crime, here, ready? Tom's fun facts. Anytime back in the day, during this time, early 2000s, I say back in the day, that makes me sound old.
It's like 20 years
We
ago.
all had desktops. Whenever you had a desktop and you were getting rid of it, same thing with memory cards and anything else and cell phones.
That's true. Yeah.
The CIA and FBI had made this big public statement saying if you were ever going to get rid of something and just toss it in the trash, you need to drill holes, or destroy your hard drives, your memory cards, whatever, because even if you've dropped them in the water and destroyed it, everything you think you can, unless you physically destructed it, it's still able to be recovered.
Yep. I don't think, and that's what I mean. She went through this.
The lights weren't on?
Well, but she went through the crazy lengths of this premeditation to really, to get there, to make sure that there was no trace leading back to her. And man, she was doing a good job, right? But leaving that in the washing machine, and then you leave a bloody handprint, but you didn't even realize that.
Also,
that's all that was on there.
Based off of the photos alone, you can tell she definitely did the laundry, because that towel that's in there, that's definitely blood.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
There's definitely bloody clothes in there. And it's obvious that she tried to do the laundry. Yeah. As if that was going,
But why not take the camera with you?
Or at least, if you're gonna do the laundry, at least wait around till it finishes. No.
I know. No. I don't know.
Maybe let me.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know how long she stayed after. I couldn't find anything on that. I don't know if it was. It seemed like she was kind of in a hurry, because, to be honest, if you leave the handprint.
Well, the handprint, and then even.
There's blood everywhere. She probably tried to wash her hands.
You see the carpet. You see the sink is covered.
Yeah. No, yeah. It was definitely a bloody scene. It was definitely a bloody scene.
Why would you take incriminating photos?
All right, so these images showed Travis alive in the shower, but chillingly, they also captured portions of the attack. These photos became crucial in determining the timeline of events and also understanding the last moments of Travis's life.
I was just going to ask, because there's a photo where he's in the shower. It's a little bit more of a yellow tint. It, to me, looks like he's caught off guard, with his hands up, could have been. What's happening?
Yeah, because those photos are right when he's about to get murdered. Which is so eerie looking at them too, because you know what his fate is going to be. That's also another photo of him in the shower, prior. They're doing pose. He's posing. He's doing things. This and that. This has just seemed to be a normal part of their relationship at this point.
Yeah, but the first. I'll be honest, that first photo of him, with the water on him.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I could see that being the photo of, right before he gets stabbed. The initial blow. Yeah. Because, imagine you're taking a shower and you trust the person you're with. To an extent. But, you would never expect or, think, oh, yeah, she's going to murder me. The reenactments that I've seen of how she stabs him and does all these things, it seems like there was a bit of a tussle. So he might have moved around. That could have led to him also bleeding out from other places. Clearly 27 stab wounds, that's a lot. And then imagine how much blood was on her. And when you think about it, every time that she's stabbing, it's also projecting blood everywhere else. So who knows how everything was going.
Especially if he's moving, as he's trying to breathe.
If he's trying to stop her. If he's trying to do this, there's definitely a tussle there.
Oh, man.
So while analyzing the crime scene, investigators noticed that Jodi's name had come up repeatedly in Travis's conversations and text messages. Despite their on and off relationship, friends of his reported that Jodi had been a source of escalating tension and concern. Based on these accounts and the photographic evidence, she quickly became the primary person of interest. Surprise.
What?
I know, super surprised. I would have guessed the mailman first. So on June 17th, about a little bit over a month later, Jodi was called in for questioning by Detective Esteban Flores of the Mesa Police Department. Now, Detective Flores was meticulous and patient, giving Jodi ample room to explain her actions leading up to the discovery of Travis's body. Jodi denied having been in Arizona at the time of the murder, instead claiming she was on a long road trip to Utah to see the new love interest, Ryan Burns. Which essentially she did see him, right?
Day.
So she's not right, but nobody knows that. So as the questioning continued, Jodi grew visibly uncomfortable, yet she maintained her innocence, stating she hadn't seen Travis in months. The detective pressed her, pointing out the evidence that contradicted her story, including that the recovered photos from the camera and a bloody handprint that's DNA tests would later confirm matched both Jodi and Travis. However, Jodi continued to deny her involvement and insisted that she would never hurt Travis. And if you think about it, quote, that's her words, never hurt. Interesting words to use, right? So after the first interview, the evidence continued to mount. Forensic analysis revealed that a .25 caliber handgun was the one used to kill Travis in his murder.
Oh, just like the one that was stolen from her parents' house?
Her grandparents, yep. Surprise.
Police
knew that a gun matching this caliber had been reported stolen in a suspicious burglary at Jodi's grandparents' home just days before the killing. Additionally, cell phone records placed Jodi's phone in Arizona at the time of the murder, despite her initial claims that she wasn't there. Remember? She wasn't there.
She must have not thought she turned that phone on.
I know. Something must have happened. So in a second interview, so this is the second time she's getting interviewed, right? You're going to keep up with this because she's surprising. Police confronted Jodi with these inconsistencies, but this time her story changed, and it changed dramatically. She now claimed that on June 4th, the day of the murder, she had been at Travis's house when two masked intruders, one man and one woman, broke in and attacked them both. And according to Jodi, the intruders killed Travis, but she managed to escape.
And casually didn't say anything.
No. She described that the details of the supposed attack with dramatic flair, insisting that she had barely escaped with her life. Barely. And so Detective Flores listened intently, but remained skeptical. Her new story was elaborate, yet it was inconsistent, and it failed to explain the forensic evidence implicating her that she was there, and that's not what happened. Furthermore, friends and family also reported that Jodi showed no signs of trauma or injuries that might have been expected after such a violent encounter. You would think that she would be shaken up, maybe bruised, hurt. She barely made it out alive, right? She barely escaped. Now, this is what seals her fate. On July 15th of 2008, a month later, police arrested Jodi Arias on suspicion of murder. Even after her arrest, Jodi maintained her innocence, frequently changing her story and trying to deflect blame. During her time in custody, Jodi made several odd and concerning statements. She even smiled and posed for her mugshot, behaving in a manner that police officers and the public found super eerie and unsettling. And when I tell you, she was doing handstands.
What?
She's in this interrogation room.
I'm sorry.
She's singing. She's just like,
is she
like talking
trying
to
be
herself.
Harley Quinn?
I don't know what she's thinking she's doing here, but I'll get into it.
Oh, Lord.
So during her interrogation, detectives confronted Jodi with the overwhelming evidence against her. In response, what does she do? She changes her story again, now claiming that she had killed Travis in self-defense. According to Jodi, their relationship had been built on abuse, and on the day of the murder, an argument between them escalated until she feared for her life. She claimed that Travis had become enraged and attacked her, forcing her to kill him in self-defense. However, there was no evidence of past abuse by Travis, nor any indication that Jodi had been defending herself on the day of the attack. And throughout this period, detectives noted that Jodi seemed unusually composed, often attempting to manipulate the narrative. She drew pictures, engaged in peculiar conversations with herself, and even appeared to practice what she was going to say in front of the camera when alone in the interrogation room.
Yeah.
I know.
I've never been in jail, but there's one thing I know. Every interrogation room has at least one camera that's recording everything
always.
While you're in there. And that's why the officers always leave
you alone.
Because they're waiting to see what you're doing. There's a mirror right in front of you. You think it's just for you to check yourself out, or do you think there's people to sit in there listening?
I think she thought that. No. And if there's one thing that you guys take away from this episode, if you're ever in an interrogation room, stay shut. Stay shut. Don't say anything until your lawyer gets there, okay?
Unless you're guilty. Just go ahead and confess, please.
If you're guilty still, just wait for your lawyer, okay? And then confess legally. So there's actual interrogation footage with all of this. And in the footage, when she was alone, like I was saying, she was singing. She was doing a handstand. She's giggling. She's like twiddling with her freaking thumbs. She's like, la, 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 like
I'm not even joking. The only thing that I can picture is Harley Quinn.
No, she kind of gives off that vibe, though. I'm not going to lie.
Like, it kind of, honestly, it feels, with how relaxed she is, it feels like she's that type of insane that she's just like, I'm going to get out of this.
During the time that she was in custody, she was actually chatting with the press, with the media. She would interact with all of them, do interviews with news stations and everything. She wanted to be heard. She did not care. You can even see photos of her checking her mirror, making sure she looks good. Like, does she look pretty for the camera?
Yeah.
Make sure her hair looks good. And she was very put together. Just, she wanted to say the things that she wanted to say. She wanted to say it the way she wants to. We know that she's a liar and an attention seeker. That's, if you haven't gathered that already.
I know we've mentioned it on the previous episode, but Desperate Housewives, this literally looks like Gabriella when she was on trial.
Yes, when she was on trial. No, seriously. That's funny. That's actually a good way to, because like she's selfish. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so Jodi, when she was arrested, right? She was arrested on July 15th, and her trial began 4 years and 6 months later on January 2nd of 2013. So she was in custody.
Why so long?
Well, during this period, her case experienced multiple delays due to legal motions, changes in her defense team, and other procedural issues, which contributed to the lengthy pre-trial period. It happens a lot of the times where, you got to think about specific dates. There are different motions that they're trying to get in place. It takes time to appeal, all that stuff. So she was there for 4 years and 6 months.
I love how she kept the brown hair that she
Well, yeah, now she's in prison.
She died so that she could be
now she's in jail.
Natural and not look like she was the blonde that was...
Right. And I know they even stated that while she was there, she was bragging about like winning the Christmas talent show in prison that she won for Best Singer or something. I know. You got to think about it. You got to think
Does
about
she
where
think she's at like...
She's at America's Next Top
Disney World?
So Jodi's self-defense story would eventually serve as the basis for her defense in court. During the trial, her defense team painted her as a victim, claiming that Travis's anger and violent behavior had left her with no other choice but to protect herself. She introduced allegations that he had a dark side, mentioning the accusations of pedophilia, which were widely rejected and met with skepticism because there wasn't much evidence on that. But there was actually 8,000 emails submitted from the prosecution between them. I know, 8,000. Well, back then also you got to think about that's a form of communication there. Well, and so Ryan Burns, her new man, stated, like I said earlier, that she came to see him the day after the murder, and she was acting completely normal, like nothing happened. I mean, like she didn't just murder her ex the day before, brutally murdered him.
I feel like as Ryan, I'd be sitting here listening to this case going...
Like, dodge the bullet? Yeah, thank God. I know.
A knife?
Literally nice, figuratively speaking. Good one. Mm-hmm. So while the prosecution was stating it was premeditated murder, based on all the evidence that showcases she had been planning this, was very cautious and meticulous when heading to Travis's home, how she would manipulate situations and change her story. When the prosecution was making their closing statement, they actually started it with 2 whole minutes as a moment of silence. So for 2 minutes, they remained silent as to remember Travis, because that's actually how long it took for Jodi to murder him.
Oh.
2 minutes. Powerful, right? Super powerful.
What'd she do during this? Because I can't imagine she sat still.
I mean, she was just there.
Doing a handstand?
No, she was doing a handstand this time. So the jury, however... Oh, and before I move on to this, while those 4 years and 6 months, she was actually making t-shirts saying that she was a victim. I know.
Girl.
So because she was painting the picture that she was doing in self-defense, that she was the one that was a victim, she was the one being abused, she was the one that had to murder him, had to kill him.
News headline: your story changed about 17,000 times.
And everything leads to premeditated murder, which that's another thing too. Because I was trying to find, I'm like, did they ever find the knife and the gun? Like, where's the murder weapons? They never found it. So it's suspected that she actually probably tossed it in the desert on her way home. How do you
get rid of that? But you leave a handprint and the freaking camera behind.
That's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't you just take the camera with you and toss that with them bad boys? So the jury, however, saw through her shifting narratives and attempts to vilify Travis. And after months of testimonies, disturbing revelations, and extensive evidence, including the incriminating photographs and Jodi's own conflicting statements, the jury took about a whole 14 hours to deliberate over the course of 4 days before finding Jodi Arias guilty of first-degree murder on May 8th, 2013. So after the conviction for murder of Travis Alexander, 2 separate juries failed to unanimously decide on her sentence, resulting in 2 penalty phase retrials. Ultimately, with no unanimous jury decision on the death penalty, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole by the judge.
I think that's very
suitable. suitable.
No offense to the juries, but how did you guys not come up with this on the first time around?
No, well, what was on the table was the death penalty.
Oh,
yes, and so 2 juries could not come to unanimous vote on sending her to the death. The death row. So the judge ended up saying, you know what, we're just going to send you to life in prison. We're going to send you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So she's going to be living there until she just passes away. She's going to be in prison until then.
Ryan, you escaped, my good
I
sir.
know, dodge the bullet. Everybody should be wearing a shirt that says Ryan Burns, thank God. Well, today, Jodi Arias remains incarcerated at the Perryville prison in Goodyear, Arizona. Her prison life has evolved over the years. After starting in maximum custody with restricted contact, she was later moved to close custody, where she has slightly more freedom, such as limited interactions with other inmates and in a shared cell. Jodi also maintains connections with the outside world through a Twitter account that's run by someone on her behalf, occasionally posting updates about her life in prison and legal effort. Her social media activity, facilitated through phone calls, includes sharing personal grievances about prison conditions and links to donations toward her legal costs. Now, Jodi's time in prison has been marked by disciplinary issues, primarily related to her behavior towards prison staff. For example, one interaction was recorded when she insulted a staff member after a disagreement over her preferred barber. Although these issues highlight her continued defiance, Jodi has largely adapted to prison life, even participating in prison activities like a Christmas singing competition. Like I said, she won her first year. And Travis Alexander's family continues to carry his legacy, speaking about the emotional toll of the trial and seeking justice for him. His family has occasionally engaged with social media to advocate for victims' rights and remember Travis's positive impact on those who knew him.
I mean, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, oh man, like friends, family having to deal with that.
I know. And seeing it firsthand, also meeting her, going through it, listening to him, knowing that like she's literally crazy and psychotic, and then he's just like trapped in the spell.
I was just going to say, obviously he was struggling with some of his own battles as well.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
But to me, that also leads to vulnerability. And based off of this whole case, I feel like that's all that I kept taking out of it is he was so vulnerable because, one, he knew what he was doing wasn't good. And so you got somebody that's willing to not really judge you for that.
Mm-hmm. And is also feeding that part of you.
Yep. Which then makes you want to come back for more.
Right, right. And he was struggling with, because he was faithful to the LDS, and it's just... I mean, it's tough, right? Definitely tough. The case just really drives home the unsettling truth that sometimes the biggest dangers can come from the people that we trust the most. Yep. Clearly. So as we wrap up Travis's story, it's a tough reminder of how obsession, left unchecked, can turn dark really fast. It shows us that beneath a charming surface, there can be something much more sinister lurking. And if you think about it, how many friends do we know or have we met along our way who's just not been in a similar situation, but in a similar situation to the extent where they're either someone's been kind of obsessed, doesn't stop calling them, doesn't stop emailing them, doesn't stop showing up to their house because they want to be with them. They just can't accept the fact that they're not together, or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? And then a lot of the times, I've had friends in the past that are like, oh, we got back together, or, because when you're in that moment, it's easier to speak when you're outside.
Oh, yeah.
But once you're inside and once you're in it, it's a lot harder to come out of it. So I can only imagine what he was going through when that was happening as well.
Yeah. Because when you're in it, I feel like you see the red flags.
Yeah. And
but you also are trying to avoid all that.
I know.
Because you're like...
You see rose-colored glasses.
I know, yeah. But you guys just don't know this person the way I do. And it sucks.
And she ended up converting. Mm-hmm. So maybe to him too, he probably saw it very much as, well, we're both, but yeah. I can only imagine. No, it's rough. Well, thank you for joining us today on Macabre Mondays. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a story that's strange, sinister, or downright spooky, send it our way. You can email us at macabremondays@gmail.com or head over to macabremondays.com to submit your story. Yours just might be featured in an upcoming listener episode.
Follow us on social media by searching Macabre Mondays for photos of today's episode, updates, and a little extra spooky fun. We'll see you next Monday for another sinister, strange, and spooky episode. But until then, stay curious and stay safe. Stay tuned. More mystery is just around the corner. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the resources that helped shape our discussion today. The timeline of Jodi Arias' case, from the initial investigation to the trial, was drawn from coverage by ABC News and CNN, both of which provided crucial insights into the legal proceedings. We also took a deep look into Arias' life behind bars, using information shared by 12 News on her time in prison, including disciplinary reports and her communication with the outside world. For additional context on the psychologist aspects of the case, we referenced expert analysis from Dr. Drew, along with articles from the Huffington Post that explored the emotional toll on Travis Alexander's family. All of these sources were invaluable in helping us tell the story accurately and thoroughly today.